G'day guys, X-Ray Racer 1 here with my review of the Pennsylvania Railroad M1A N-scale locomotive by Broadway Limited Imports. This is a long-awaited locomotive. Broadway Limited Imports, it's been a while since they were going to release, they said that they were going to release this locomotive. It was said to be released, I think it was September last year. However, delays have prevented them from doing that. And so it's been a couple of years in the waiting. And I've been waiting for one of these to be released for a while. And it is finally here. So this is their first N-scale steam locomotive. It is the M1A. This locomotive, Broadway Limited Imports make two versions of this, I believe, if I remember correctly, in 4 different road numbers, so 2 road numbers of each version. The versions are pre-World War II and post-World War II. This locomotive here is the pre-war version, and I only just got it this morning. I have not tested it yet. It has just been put on the layout here for review. As you notice, if you've seen some of my other locomotive reviews, I will do things a little bit different. I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently to previous reviews. Now that I've got my head around video editing. Now, this is again made by Broadway Limited Imports. It is the M1A. This locomotive is dcc with sound. Also, Broadway Limited Imports tell you that it can run on DC power with sound. Now, when I'm going to be very cautious in saying this. If some of you will remember, I did a locomotive review on Broadway Limited Imports Alco PA locomotive some time back. Now, I never used it with DC power. However, I have heard people say that it will not run properly on DC power, depending on the DC unit you are using. I believe it has something to do with the amperage, because with DCC locomotives that have sound in them, they require more voltage for the sound to work. So as opposed to your regular locomotives, that regular DCC locomotives will run on DC power, and they don't require as much voltage to move, whereas dcc+sound, from memory, I believe in the Broadway Limited book, it says of around 7 volts for it to start working. So keep in mind that, people. Now, as I said, it is a DCC with sound. It features their Paragon 2 sound system. The locomotive is equipped with microtrains couplers. Now, it only has a microtrains coupler on the rear of on the tender. At the front here, it is I guess you would call it a scale prototypical dummy coupler. So that's a non-functioning coupler on the front. It also is capable of running on a minimum of a 9 3/4 inch or 9.75 inch radius, which is good. And yeah, so that's some information about the actual loco itself. Honestly, when I got this morning, I was really excited to see it. When I opened up the box, it's actually a nice box that it comes in. I'll just zoom out a little bit. This is the box when it comes in. So sorry if you can't see it too well. You can probably just see my face. So this is the box. It comes in. That is the part number for this particular locomotive. And it comes with all the your instruction manuals. It comes with an exploded a page with an exploded view of the locomotive with all the part numbers if you need to replace parts. So what I'll do is I'll move the camera a little bit. Have to excuse me a sec, guys. So what we'll do is we'll have a closer look at the locomotive. And the detail on this is actually quite stunning. If I zoom in over here, and I will zoom in, sorry if it's a little jerky, guys, but the detail on the top here is absolutely amazing. Oh, sorry guys. But just the look of the locomotive, all the piping, you'll see it on the other side when it runs. But, you know, numbers, but the numbers on this are really good. What I do like, if you look closely here, you can see what is the power leads to the locomotive itself, because you have your decoder and speaker in the back and the tender here. It's not a bird's nest of wires going into the actual locomotive itself. But I am loving the detail of this locomotive. Just having a look at it out of the box earlier on, it's really good. Even up the back here, it's absolutely fantastic. Just the detail. I mean, even too, one thing I found I quite like with this locomotive, if I can get it to focus, is what is the dog box. Now that was for a third man in the locomotive to operate brakes if they were going in reverse. But even just the piping around it, absolutely unbelievable. And the lights, the lamps rather. We've got the cab view. We'll come around the front here. And yeah, even the front of it is unbelievable. Now if I zoom in here, I'll just give you a quick look. So we've got the pipes poking out, but as you can see, as I mentioned before, it has a dummy coupler on the front, so that's a non-functional coupler. But even just the piping, the colour, although I will be honest, I'm not a fan, and this goes not just for this locomotive but all steam locomotives, the fake coal that's on there. I know they put coal on, it's moulded on just for the look, but I have recently with some of my other locomotives put some of the Woodland Scenics medium cinders, is it? But just for the coal, just to give it a more realistic look. So what I'm going to do, guys, is, as I said, I'm going to be doing my reviews a bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this now, I'm going to program it, and I will come back in a flash with the first run of the locomotive. So stay tuned, guys. Alright guys, so I have the locomotive programmed for my NCE power cab. I've set the addresses. That's really all I have done. Now, before I get on with the review, I have given it a little test run around my layout, and I've come into a little bit of an issue. It will go around this layout, however, when it goes over, it will go into the first tunnel, it would seem to derail a little bit. It's the tender that actually derails, so I may have to do a little fiddling around later on off camera. So what I'm going to do is, as it goes into the first tunnel, I'll pause it, and then you'll see it come out, and yeah, we'll go from there. Now, I haven't tested it in DC mode, like on DC power. I'm not going to bother because I have a DCC system. This locomotive, the sound is unbelievable. Look, I'm going to be honest. The camera and the microphone is not going to do it any justice, but what I will do is I'll put the microphone close to the locomotive. I won't put it right next to it because the DCC unit will cause a bit of feedback through the microphone. So what I'll do is I'll put the microphone fairly close-ish, and what I'll do is I will go through all the sounds, and then we'll give it a run. So just excuse the muffling noise a bit. All right. So I'll just start it up. I'll turn the light on. So the turbine, what you're hearing there was the turbine turning on and off. It's a turbine generator for the lights, for the lamps. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll back it up, and you'll hear it engage reverse. Alright, so I'll just reverse it. And I'll push function 3 when it connects. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the camera off the stand. So there are a lot of noises that it makes, so obviously it's simulating an actual locomotive. So what we'll do is I'll push function 3 again, and that will, you won't hear it straight away. Alright, so when I take off you'll hear the coupler noise, and then you'll hear the whistle. I'll push the whistle. Now when you hold it in, it's a long whistle. If you tap it, it's a short whistle. So hold it in. And tap it. And the bell. It's quite loud, I'm quite impressed. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take off. And when you start really pushing the speed steps, you'll hear the chuffing get louder as it goes under load. So as you can see, it's really nice. It's actually quite smooth. The speed steps, they've programmed the speed steps so it's not a sudden jump between each speed step. It slowly speeds up in between. Alrighty, so I'll just do one circuit, so we've got to see it run. So what I'm going to do is I'll run this locomotive for a week. I'll see if I can sort the, hang on a second. So as I was saying, I'll see if I can sort the issue with, it's the rear track here on the tender seems to want to jump off. I'll have a look at that. So what I'll do is I'll have it for a week. I will run it, and I will give you my final thoughts in what will be part B of this review. So stay tuned, guys.